So I watched an interesting interview with Carl Frampton, and I just want to give my perspective. So let's explore 7 ideas. Now, before I start, I want to preface this by stating big respect to Frampton, former world champion and a world-class commentator. So idea 1, Frampton went through his own "is he finished" media cycle late in his career, facing questions about fading reflexes and chin. So Frampton can see this from a professional lens. He can, in a sense, he's been in AJ's shoes. That gives him a unique perspective. He understands being in decline, or the perception of being in decline. He has experienced the media narrative. And let's understand that media narratives can be positive or they can be negative. And here's a slightly different narrative. Perhaps Anthony Joshua is not finished, but maybe he is not elite. So he may not be finished, but he may no longer be elite. And here's another question. Maybe the production of AJ through U6 team takes time. Maybe the new tactics, the new psychology, and the new boxing identity takes time to implement. And the second idea is that Frampton says AJ's punch resistance is gone. And, we have the right uppercut that caused the first knockdown, and I believe it was the left uppercut that caused the second knockdown. This is a reasonable conclusion, but is it objectively true? The counter narrative was that he was caught cold. Has AJ got punch vulnerabilities? The answer to that question may be yes. But here's maybe a better question. Can AJ improve his defense to manage those punch durabilities? Now here's a reference point. Vladimir Klitschko had a poor chin, according to many, but was still an elite champion. And he was an elite champion because he was able to make amendments. He was able to change. Of course, the massive caveat was that he was able to change under arguably the greatest trainer of all time. Now the third idea is that Frampton retired following losses where questions about his own durability dominated the coverage. And retiring is often the smart thing to do. But maybe AJ can't quit. Maybe this is his purpose. Maybe this is the way to manage the trauma, and we're all familiar with the trauma. RIP, and my condolences as always. And I guess to me the question is should he quit? Should Anthony Joshua walk away? Should he retire? Or should he be asking the questions, can he make the amendments to beat Tyson Fury? Because my understanding is that part of the final destination is fighting Tyson Fury. So the question is, in his heart, can he beat Tyson Fury? And if the answer is yes, then there's a massive incentive to carry on. I get a sense from Anthony Joshua from his post-fight interview that this is spiritual, this is purpose-led, and like I said, maybe he can't retire. I used the word quit, and I want to take that back because, like I said, it's not about quitting. Walking away sometimes is the right thing to do. And if there's one thing that Anthony Joshua does not do, it's quit. And the fourth idea is that both fighters share a career arc. And when we say both fighters, I mean Carl Frampton and AJ. Dominant peak, high-profile losses, then a rebuild phase under scrutiny. I guess the question is the scrutiny justified? Is the premise of the scrutiny justified? I think in certain cases, the scrutiny for AJ is justified. Let me tell you where it's not justified. The whole questioning his mental strength, I think, is ridiculous. I think one of his strengths is AJ's psychology. I think he's psychologically a strong fighter. And we can see evidence in this in the Vladimir Klitschko fight. He knocked Vladimir Klitschko down in round 5, then was knocked down in round 6, and then was dominated, I believe, in round 9 and 10. But then Anthony Joshua rolled the dice and got the stoppage in round 11. That was courage. That was character. And against Prenger, when he was put on the floor twice, he was mentally strong. He remained calm. He remained composed. And in the next round, he got the knockout after having one of the worst rounds of his career. I think we need to put that AJ is mentally weak. I think we need to put that to bed. But I do think AJ needs to be technically better based on the Prenger performance. The mind is strong, indeed. But how is the body? There are legitimate questions about the body, and there are legitimate questions about some of the technical aspects, and they need to be addressed. Now, the fifth idea is that Frampton praised AJ's adjustments after the corner talking to, and this means, again, that AJ can adapt. If he fights Tyson Fury and Tyson Fury knocks him down, if he can, AJ will get back up. His mental strength is there, and he is committed. He is dangerous. Matter of fact, if you knock him down, he becomes more dangerous. But we need to see AJ throwing more jabs. We need to see him controlling the tempo. We need to see more feints. We need to see him developing his counter punches and continue to improve his footwork. The sixth idea is that Frampton fought on past the point. Some said he should have retired, chasing one more big night. And I think a lot of fighters, they're always looking for that one big night. They're looking for that adrenaline, that dopamine rush. It's understandable. And it's a good question. Should AJ chase this final night? And I'm assuming that final night is against Tyson Fury. Now, that premise could be incorrect. Maybe the final night is to get back the championship. But let's assume the end goal is Tyson Fury. The question here is, who has more to lose? If people feel that Tyson Fury has the better legacy, doesn't AJ victory change that whole narrative? Even if AJ is not elite, if he could still potentially beat Tyson Fury, is the juice worth the squeeze? Because a victory over Tyson Fury will be an amazing, an absolutely incredible ending to an incredible career. Another question is he still willing to do what it takes? Clearly, he's still willing to do what it takes in the ring, but is he willing to do what it takes in the preparation? And does he have the right team to get the job done? And the seventh idea is that Frampton's own defining wins came from tactical adjustments mid-fight, not raw durability. And AJ did make adjustments against Prenger. He introduced that jab in round 2 to gain dominance. But has he learnt from the Prenger fight? There were mistakes in the pocket. Will they correct the mistakes in camp? Also, and this is just my personal opinion, the communication in the corner seemed less than concise. So to me, the corner communication and the preparation, those elements, they have to be optimal. AJ, let's not forget, is in a privileged position. Retire now as a multi-millionaire and a great former 2-time British champion, or continue to pursue a legacy fight that can deepen his legacy even further. Okay, so let's end this with 5 questions. Question number 1. Is Frampton recognizing genuine decline, projecting his own experience onto Joshua? This could be a combination of both. Clearly, Frampton identifies the mistakes that he made in his career, and of course he could be projecting that. But Carl Frampton has a unique perspective. He sees the weaknesses, he has an expert analysis, and that needs to be taken with high regard because he has high credentials as a former champion and high credentials as a world-class commentator. And part of being a great commentator is having that attention to detail. So it may be part projection, but I don't believe it's full projection. He sees the decline. Question 2. Is AJ's punch resistance truly gone, or can better defense protect his vulnerabilities? It's hard to answer that question. If his punch resistance has truly gone, then he has to have better defense. He has to get better in the pocket. Even if his punch resistance hasn't gone, he still needs to get better in the pocket. When they got in the pocket, he seems to switch off, and he needs to fix that, because that is a flaw that Tyson Fury will exploit. Question 3. Does Joshua still have the physical tools to compete at an elite level? It depends how we define elite. Are we defining fighting a champion, or are we defining fighting Tyson Fury? First off, are the champions elite? That's a genuine question. If we define it as fighting Tyson Fury, clearly Joshua has the physical tools with regards to punch power and finishing ability. His punch durability and his lack of focus in the pocket, that is the question. Question number 4. Could tactical adjustments and a sharper corner help AJ beat Tyson Fury? I'm not sure if the premise is true here. I'm not saying the corner is not sharp. I'm saying that I thought the communication was not concise. It's hard to make an objective analysis on the corner. What we can say is that I believe this is Usyk's team, and Usyk's team has produced phenomenal results with Usyk. But that does not necessarily mean that the relationship with Anthony Joshua will be able to duplicate that success. Is there a language barrier? I don't know. Are the boxing philosophies implemented in Usyk's gym compatible with Anthony Joshua? I don't know. It looks on paper to be a brilliant partnership, but the theory and the implementation, sometimes those things can be different. And the final question, the 5th question, is Joshua chasing one final legacy night or fighting beyond his natural ending? Unfortunately, in boxing, I think it's nearly impossible to determine when is your natural ending. It's a very hard thing to find. And it's understandable why Tyson Fury is it's understandable why Anthony Joshua is chasing Tyson Fury. That fight not only has huge economic impact, that fight has huge cultural impact. I think now that AJ is more aligned with purpose as opposed to economic gain. So chasing that legacy, chasing that passion is not necessarily a bad thing. Is he fighting beyond his natural ending? Maybe not even he or his team know the answer to that question. So that's the end of the video. Now I'm trying to build a digital boxing community, and that means I'm interested in your thoughts, I'm interested in your perspectives, and I'm interested in your observations. Now, if you want to support the channel, press like, hype, and subscribe. And if you want to watch more content like this, then simply click here or click here. As always, thanks for your time. It is much appreciated.